is, I mean, that's Milo Goes to College. That's Descendants.
Out of Milo. Yeah, exactly.
That's out of Descendants. The Descendants are the first
guys.
They might be the first, tongue-in-cheek kind of they could have wrote full on Stacy's Mom or whatever, kind of.
But I'm saying, how it evolves in the same way. It's like I love the Buzzcocks, and then ooh, how much Green Day can I take?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Green Day. Is that who you're talking about? The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yes, including future Hall of Famers, the Foo Fighters. I think they're
Yep.
I've seen another trip through YouTube, if you don't mind, is watching Billy Joe. It was another YouTube sort of travels, was watching Billy Joe get up and do punk rock songs, with different bands and this and that. It would be he would just get up and be they'll do a Ramon song or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's not as great as watching, since we were on a Rick Rubin thing, the Beastie Boys, if you go into their, Beastie Boys do punk rock, mm-hmm. those guys just cover, tonight we're going to cover All Quiet on the Western Front, from cover to cover. And they just and they kill it. And the Billy Joe, stuff sounds like, John Lennon getting up and doing, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, right.
You just you're thinking John Lennon rock and roll, not Beatles doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That era. It's just that's a punk rock song, Billy.
Listening to John Lennon cover "Stand By Me" makes me just uncomfortable. Can this stop now? Can this please stop?
I've never been a fan of it, and I've always been no.
Stop singing this song.
Right.
Wait, though, that was the record that was fulfilling the obligation to get out of a loss.
Yeah, but right? I think he
phoned it in.
No, I don't think he phoned it in. I just think that's, when you...
No, he definitely loved it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He made, I think it was he made an effort, and he was going
to update it. He was going to make, you know what I mean? It was the Phil Spector arrangements, Murderer, the Phil Spector Murderer arrangements of those songs were, I think, unfortunately, it's kind of it's not too different than the Saturday Night Live sketch of the punk rock wedding band,
that's the best.
Where it's just the glory days are past here. Don't try to relive your youth. You write the songs about being a dad, okay?
Stage dive onto the wedding cake.
Fist fight in a parking lot's a pretty good name for a song, know.
No, they had every dot and every I dotted and every T crossed on that skit. It was done very well, and I guess it goes to Dave Grohl. Yeah, and what's his name on guitar? I thought, oh my God, he's and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. What's
Ashton Kutcher, right?
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. But just the whole skit and what he's singing about, and name drops Alexander Haig and all,
exactly.
80s.
It's better than his one where he's Ian Rubbish and does that. It's better than the hardcore one is better than the punk rock one.
Yeah,
That's
for
sure.
But that's the thread. It's kind of like the way Spinal Tap works. It's that was he was parodying his music. There was whereas the punk rock was kind of a predecessor. He that wasn't firsthand. Yeah.
Tap gets the when they do the not the Flower Children, the you know what I want, give me some money. They get all those genres though. Yes. When it's they it's not.
They were a band. They were all of those guys had attempted music careers. They lived it.
But the interviews, and I watched. I was telling these guys at practice one time. I watched it. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. After not having seen it for a while, the interviews when they're sitting around are hysterical because they bring up all that stuff that you guys talked about, where he's like, well, actually, so-and-so and I were in a skiffle band together, and they name drop, like they know enough of the history of what guys are saying that it's like so plausible, and it's hysterical, and they touch every...
We changed our name to the New Originals.
Yeah. And they just lambaste.
We broke up, but we didn't think we should change our name back, so we stayed the New Originals.
They parody everything going from the late 50s through the 70s. And it's all dead on. It's so funny. And those music videos, like you described.
When it came out, like apparently Eddie Van Halen went to go see it, and he was like so angry. He's like, "That was fucking stupid. It's not really like it was like so correct. Like he didn't find any humor whatsoever. It's really like that. Yeah." It really is a great documentary of actually how it works. Yeah.
On one of my social media things, George Harrison, we've talked about it before. He comes to the United States before the Beatles come in February. He comes to visit his sister and goes out to Chicago. And one of the Beatle pages that I'm on was it's like Beatles and Cavern Club photos or whatever it is. It shows a picture of a band called the Four Vests. And it's like these Chicago guys that look like, and they just look like a Chicago, kind of band. And George got up and played with them apparently, or they said he sat in with the Four Vests, and but they had one of their a photo that Doug Drescher had taken back in
back in the day,
back in the early '60s. It was great. I was just like, there it is.
Yeah, I watched this documentary about Liverpool and the Beatles but it literally was about how from like sort of like the after they broke up until only whatever, late in the 70s, there's like a 10-year period where Liverpool kind of erased them from history. They were into the 70s. They were like in this oldies act, and they were talking about they knocked down the Cavern. And they talk about, it's like, who would have I can't believe it took John's assassination that really kind of move things quicker. Who would have ever thought it was John Lennon International Airport? It's, and how
but it does it time.
The economy, it's just driven by Beatles tourism there now.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah. I would agree with that. But there's a couple of things the Beatle fans, of course, the people who are going to Matthew Street to see him at the Cavern and stuff like that, they knew, they were it was bittersweet when Please Please Me became an international hit, a European hit anyway, because they knew that's the end of going to see the lunchtime, canteen shows, they knew it was over. And and the Beatles couldn't get away from, let's face it, they couldn't get away from Liverpool fast enough.
Yeah.
They just couldn't. And so, but I never heard that, I think, to my mind anyway, it just seems it just was the way that you would have thrown out, that, Thurman Munson rookie card. You know what I mean? It just was... and then all of a sudden
now, everyone oh, I'm going to buy two, one to open and the other one just to put in the closet, that kind of began in the 80s, when people, you remember, it would be when could you start buying a whole set of baseball cards? You never even thought about the concept of I'm going to start the season by buying all of the
whole entire box.
Right. It'd be no,
it kind of defeated my kid purpose, was to open up a pack of cards to see if I got Boog Powell, for crying out loud, because he was that was the guy that I wanted. I don't know why, but I wanted Boog, every year. I wanted that guy.
He hit a lot of home runs. Yeah.
It's I got two Willie Randolphs and I need just a Boog to finish my Orioles. Here, I'll trade you,
There was something more magical still about I definitely got one year a Boog Powell card from a cousin of mine, and it was never ever as thrilling as going down to, you know, the 5 and dime place that we would go to, pick up a pack of cards and open it up and actually find it in the wild. You know, that was what it was all about.
Yeah, the luck of the draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what kept you coming back the next day to get another shot at getting what are you going to get?
To tie it back in, so yesterday at the Bell House here, they had there's a internet radio station called Boss 66, which is it's a pretty cool station. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think it's like it might be the Hound or something from FMU or whatever. Like you know, there's like the garage rock guys went off, and I think they started this station, so it's a little more pure garage rock and surf rock and stuff like that. But so they had this mini record fair, so I'm like, oh, it's just down the street. I'm gonna go over there and just going through the records. Like one of my little, my collector thing is I need to own all like 76 Ventures albums from the 60s.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
I'm going through there and I see there's a Ventures record from 1969 called The Underground Sound. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they got a copy of it. And it was just like, that was so much better. Like, I know if I went to eBay, I could get it, you know,
right.
I probably
Just finding it in the wild,
you know, in better shape. But it was just like, oh, look at my check. I only got 9 more Ventures records left to get for the series.
Wow.
You know?
That is
Tony's wearing an FMU shirt tonight and stuff like that. And I know y'all can't see it, but like, that's not the point. Like, I've heard that FMU's got like a thing, John, about like not wanting to be the Bush Leagues for FUV or any of these, like anything that really takes off. They have this is from a friend of mine who worked at the station and stuff like that. I'm not going to name names and stuff like that because like he still knows people that work there and stuff. But it was like they have a bittersweet relationship with people who have gone on to any other kind of fame outside of FMU.
Well, Bill Kelly has that show over on Sirius XM now. He's on Underground Garage.
Right.
I turn it on behind me here when I'm working, and it literally, like, I think half the shows are about, let's see how much I could torture the listener. Like,
it's pretty unbelievable that, like, you know,
like I'm discovering something new because I don't. 7 minutes of like feedback.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, there's times where I actually have to go and shut it off. And I will come in and turn it back on, and it's still going like 6 minutes later. And you're like,
with you.
It's like it's not like they're playing. Okay, we're going to do like a 32-minute raga. Like at least a raga is like something, you know, where it's like this droning note type of. This is literally like it's debatable if it's actually music they're playing.
Right.
It's annoying. Like, and you're like, you know, it just is. It's like. I'm annoyed. Like, you guys are doing this again. Like, you know, and I'm as open-minded as anybody else as far as like, you know, I'll listen to a lot of different things, but a lot of times it's just like, it's really white noise too. It's like, you know, it's tones. You're just like, wow, it's not like, here's a melody that you just can't wrap your head around. It doesn't have to do with that. It's just completely atonal.
And in the middle of the day, it's not like it's a, you know, the experiment. That's the thing. It's like, I mean, I hate to, because what I always liked is they would have like really deep, obscure soul singles that like this person.
Well, right. It depends on whose show you're listening to,
or even just the chatter. We'll take a phone call or something like that. But like, you know, where someone will play, like, there's the guy who just does like it's sort of like self-released records from like the 50s and 60s, and like it'll be like, and they're just digging up stuff, you know, that's like great. Or if nothing, at least it's interesting, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's the stuff we want. Yeah.
And apparently there is a bit of a there's like a couple factions over there now, and there's the people who are just like, you know, I know, like you guys know Todd from who used to
Toddophonic Todd.
Yeah, Toddophonic Todd. Like he has his thing. He does the garage band stuff and digs up stuff like who are sort of more classic, nerd in the basement. Like I want to play you my record collection types versus these other, and there definitely seems to be, because I think it was Ken Friedman who like ran that place for a long time. I think he's no longer part of it.